Okay, we're back live at the Pacific International Australian Open Billiards. Peter Tankard in commentary with my mate from New South Wales, Grant Meadley.
Hey Pete, how are you?
Good, Grant. So, how do you see the match going so far?
Well, the last frame was definitely a scrappy affair. I think both players were glad to see the break. They've been at the table for approximately 2.5 hours now. During the break, we noticed the table had been behind. It's been raining outside, which is going to contribute to the slow conditions.
So, New South Wales players haven't performed brilliantly well this week.
No, it's tough for us to come down here every single year, and Melbourne have fantastic conditions. New South Wales seems to struggle with actually providing good conditions for the players, but down here they've definitely got it down packed.
Yeah, so I think I'm right in saying that no New South Wales player actually made 100 break this week.
No.
You came closest with a 97 and missed a straight red off the spot, is that right?
Yeah, I certainly did. It was actually my first visit. My first opponent actually, Robbie Ganson, he left me both balls up off the break, and it was my first visit, and yeah, I tried to force an angle off a straight red to have a return cannon. I had a few people actually say to me, look, why didn't you cash the red in and make it 100? But in the 150 up format, 100s don't win the games.
Yes. So you negotiated the balk line crossing before that?
Yeah, there's I've noticed a few of the top players, they seem to obviously land low on a red and push it towards the top pocket. With my circumstances, I was lucky enough to have 2 pot reds off the spot and obviously land low on the red and take the centre pocket and go through balk and back up again.
Let's hope the ironing has fixed up the pace of the table. Both players were struggling in the last frame especially to get the ball back to the middle pocket. I spoke to Rob Hall during the break, and he said that he was hitting them as hard as he could without creating a forcer effect, and still just could not get them back to the middle pocket for the next in off. So let's watch and observe whether that's made a difference. It appears to have.
Yeah, during the break we had Steve Miss jump on the iron and actually give the table an iron there, and Steve had a great battle with Rob Hall in the semi-final today. A very good match. You see Rob has got the white near the centre pocket there. He's just negotiating an easy red into the bottom pocket.
What's he looking at that angle so carefully for?
Yeah.
Oh, for that. For a 6 shot, okay. And he would have played the 6 shot because he's got them effectively in drop cannon position.
Yeah, he has. He might take another in off first before that. It's a pretty wide angle.
Yeah. This is where we'll get to see whether that pace has changed on the table. And it has. So he's got it into position that time. He's a free hitter, Rob, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's got a very much a snooker player's technique. He gets through the ball quite well. He seems very stiff on the shot, but he doesn't move much on the shot.
No.
Definitely a great cueist.
I like his demeanour on the table. He seemed, he could almost be wandering around practising at home. He never seems to be very agitated about shots, or he's very relaxed.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't get up much on the shot. He completes the shot, and even when there's things happening around the table, it doesn't seem to disturb him that much. He just gets on with the job and pots balls. It's been great this weekend to see a lot of the international players.
Yeah, been a stellar field, hasn't it?
Yeah, we're not very fortunate to, not very often we get a good field like this. I dare say this is the best field we've had for quite some time.
Absolutely. 3 Kiwis. Not one of them got through to the elimination section. It would have been a disappointment, I think, for Wayne Carey. Russ Delahunty and Zach Guja might have been aspirational in getting to the knockout section, that Wayne typically does, but the good example of the strength of the field is that Wayne didn't get through to the elimination section. came up against Bolton Senior,
Mm.
and there was a dogged encounter with lots of safety shots.
Yeah, the Kiwis are, they definitely play a different style of game, the Kiwis I've noticed. They're very much hazard players. I don't know if that's lack of exposure to the top of the table in New Zealand, but obviously Wayne and Gary Oliver, who unfortunately wasn't playing in this tournament, they're both very much hazard players. Gary is a very good top of the table player as well, but it's interesting to see the different styles from different players from different countries.
This pace looks to be a lot better now. He's got them back under tight control there. Before they ironed it, that would have left us finished up halfway up the table and he would have been scratching his head.
Yeah. So Rob hasn't quite got them at top yet. He'll be looking to get below this white and playing the cannon back, which he's done now.
Yep.
So Rob's looking to push this white underneath the spot.
They say there's a box around the spot which is about 12 inches by 12 inches on either side, and if the players can get and keep the balls in there, which is where Rob has that white now, there's always a position that will recover it. But rather than playing the thin red pot there, he's elected for a short drop cannon, and again he'll be trying to get inside the white ball to knock it back towards the spot here.
And there's no set rule with the box. You'll see certain players, they'll exploit the full 12 inches of the box. Players like Peter Gilchrist, Dave Clausier, they're not afraid to make the opponent's ball travel away from that box and recover. Where the likes of Matthew and Mike Russell, they're really wanting to keep it tight behind that red.
They're very precise, aren't they? I think I'd put Rob Hall in the looser category as well.
Yeah.
And that's a style thing, it's not a criticism, it's just that they are a little more creative with their shot making and have a wider array. They're comfortable with moving the balls around a bit more.
Yeah, both Matthew and Mike also have compact cue actions compared to the likes of Corsier and obviously Peter, who seem to be a bit more fluent.
I say we'd love to get Corsier out here, wouldn't we?
Oh, fantastic. Unfortunately, Dave's a busy man with work, and it'd be great to have him out in Australia and actually see his, he's a fantastic cueist.
Unbelievable shot production and imagination. I think that's the thing about billiards, is that it's compared to other cue sports, because of that, the way that you can score in so many different ways. It tends to be very creative, and there's no set formula, so it does allow for quite a few different styles of play.
Yeah, there's not many people I can actually watch personally play billiards. I think it's,
I agree.
Dave Corsier and Peter Gilchrist are probably the only two I do enjoy watching. I actually had a conversation with Peter the other night, and he mentioned Chris Schutt as well.
Yes.
I haven't seen Chris play. I heard he's a great player, very tall player. They're actually fantastic to watch, the tall players when they're playing there.
Well, Peter cues under the body, he cues around his body. He's got ways of producing shots that don't suit my particular physical makeup, but there are very few players in the world. Mark Williams, of course, cues under the body in snooker.
Yeah.
Great to watch.
It was funny, the other night we actually had Javage, myself and Peter. We actually did a measure up to check our heights, and Peter was curious, and Javage is approximately 6'3", same as myself, and Mr. Gilchrist came in, I think, at 6'5". And he gets over the cue so well.
He does. Well, I was looking at him cue today, one of the few players playing any version of the sport where he bends his back so much that his hips are higher than his shoulders when he's at the table. He's very long in the leg. Well, that's gone a little wrong.
Yeah. The red's off the cushion a bit. He shouldn't have too much trouble there.
Yeah, soft screw.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't even need to do that. So how's the organisation been here?
Oh, look, we've obviously got Paul Cosgrove in charge. He's a fantastic tournament director. Very organised. You know where you need to be, and he makes sure that you're there.
And he seems to do it quietly and effortlessly, doesn't he?
Well, that's what you want with a tournament director, just someone who goes about their business. They don't intimidate the players and makes everyone feel comfortable. Rob's still atop here. He's travelling well. He's covered that a bit. He won't be happy with that cover.
He's not.
So he might come underneath the white here.
Red pot.
It's so easy for to lose top of the table within a couple of shots, as you just saw there, even for the top players. So he's got a difficult pot in the centre here.
If he gets it, he's back in shape. If he misses it, he's going to leave it up because he has to dribble it in. Oh, he hasn't left it too bad. He did miss it, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think Matthew will be cashing yellow here and just double balking. Unless he can get some screw on that red. No.
No. Can't get there. Half ball this one. Or inside. Yeah. Does he play inside or outside?
He'll be playing outside, I think, and there he is. Be trying to leave it in off usually. There we are.
Gone a bit far, but it's
quite
gettable for a player of Matthew's ability.
It's one thing for I suppose beginners to point out. A lot of players do try and leave a pot. If possible, it is best to leave it in off. Obviously, with it in off, you can bring the red out of balk, and when the opponent plays shots like this, you can sort of play towards a cannon. Rob's played that quite well.
Yeah.
He's used the touch of left-hand side to bring it in and out of balk and close to the cushion there.
So the rule says you have to touch, you can't just masse back into balk, you have to touch a cushion or a ball outside balk first. Now that's interesting. Matthew's electing to try and rescue it all at once with a cannon.
Yeah, look, I think both players are trying to get in early in this second session and get some reasonable position. It was a scrappy last game they had there, and I dare say it's going to take another couple of games to get settled again.
They do it well here in Victoria, don't they? I mean, as I said before, it pains me to admit it, but they're doing a pretty good job. They've got some fantastic sponsors down here. Reventon, of course, Chris Christophe, the Yarraville Club itself, which is hosting this event. We're now in a separate facility. A few years ago, or last year really, they changed over and built this purpose-built facility just down the road from the main club itself, and they've converted the space that was the billiard room in the main club to more dining and entertainment facilities. And here we've got a dedicated space without too much interference from people on the pokies and having dinner. So it's tremendous.
Yeah, something I think the New South Wales clubs could probably learn from. Unfortunately, when the tables get moved to New South Wales clubs, they're usually to a skip bin.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different culture in Victoria. Even the conditions of the tables, the members have a lot of respect for the tables down here. I've noticed in many clubs I've played in down here, members do have a tendency to brush and pad the tables once they're finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the other difference here is that they're paying to play. So there's money coming back into the sport, and they're not just cost centres for the clubs. The clubs can actually make revenue off the tables and the players, which is a fair thing. So there does tend to be a lot more proprietary interest, if you like, in the maintenance of the tables.
It's a shame because of a lot of large clubs in New South Wales. Before the days of poker machines, their main turnover was from internal clubs such as indoor bowls, darts, snooker, and other sports, cards, etc. And unfortunately, the times of poker machines have changed the concept of how clubs use their space.
But here there's a lot more of a kind of community attitude where everybody
Yeah.
pitches in. So in addition to Reventon and the Yarraville Club, you've got Billiards Australia. They've contributed to the funds for this. Consolidated Leisure and
Yeah.
Sport have provided cloths and balls. They're the agents for Strawns, which is used in all of these top-level competitions, including the World Snooker Championship, and the Aramuth balls with the spots on them. These are a recent innovation in the last few years. How do you enjoy playing with them?
Yeah, look, I first personally came across the spots. I think it was the 2012 World Titles in Leeds. I was lucky enough to go across with a great team of guys over there, and you know, it was a funny concept when the balls were pulled out, and you know, we were told, hey, we're using these balls with spots on. A few of the players weren't aware, and it did cause a few issues. But after a few hours of using them, they're actually quite good. It's great to see the spots actually moving, and you can see what you're doing with the cueing, and if you're applying enough side or not. And obviously great for spectators to actually see what the players are doing. There aren't many shots in billiards where you're not using side, so it's fantastic for beginners to see.
All your secrets are revealed.
Yeah.
Look, he's getting it back to the middle now.
Yeah.
Both players will be much happier with these conditions since they are under it.
So keep an eye on the spots here. You'll see what he's doing with the cue ball. It's interesting. He might put a touch of right-hand side on this. It's hard to pick up on the footage, but you do see the spots rotating certain directions with the side applied to the ball.
A bit easier to see in close-up when we're at the top.
So Rob's back at top here. He only needs 12 points to run out this game.
So 4-2 it looks like he's going to go.
Yeah.
Is it going to be decisive?
I don't think so. It's at this level, it's a funny game. We saw in the quarter final with Peter Gilchrist and Surab. I believe Surab was 3-0 up against Peter, and Peter's come back and won 4 games. I was just chatting to Surab about that actually. He said it's a funny old game, and that's what happens sometimes at this level.
And this one to win. They didn't bother playing possession off that. So Rob scored 151 there. The top break this week has actually been 155, and that was by Peter Gilchrist. So next frame's opening up, and we might invite Surav Qatari to join us in commentary. Thanks, Grant.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
That's it. So we've been joined in commentary by Surav Qatari, one of the 4 visiting players from India. How have you enjoyed your time here?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, it's always brilliant coming to Australia. Apart from the games, of course, we love the country. We love Melbourne.
We love having you here.
And a lot of people sort of look at us with a wry smile, sometimes because they don't believe that we love the weather when we come here, but we really do.
Well, you know what they say about Melbourne: if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it'll be completely different.
It'll be complete. Yeah, you have 4 weathers in a day over here,
so
4 different seasons.
So they say.
Yeah, Melbourne's it's fantastic, and I have to appreciate the work that the Australian Association and the VBSA and the ABSC is doing to promote billiards. There's so many billiards events. In fact, once this one gets over, you have the national starting tomorrow, so there's a lot
We
of
do,
billiards
we do.
happening
We do.
in this part of the
That's,
country.
That's where we get rid of you really good international players and get to battle it out amongst ourselves. And
this
for the
is
last few
actually-
years, we just hand the trophy to Matt Bolton.
Yeah.
He hasn't been beaten in Australia by an Australian for, I think, 17 years or something like that, some crazy number.
Right, and as we speak, I think this match is really sort of gone into another gear now, because it's going slightly slowly. You know, when I walked in, and it's suddenly Rob's taken 2 frames on the trot, and he's really looking sharp today.
Well, they've just ironed the table. I know that you guys came in somewhat later, but they were really battling to get the ball back to the middle pockets for the next loser, and Rob felt that he was thrashing at the ball and still not getting it there. And I think there's been some rain outside, and the table's picked up some moisture, but they ironed it during the break, and I think both players are much happier with that. In fact, they asked Rob if you'd like it, because you have to ask the players if you're going to change the table conditions. Would you like us to iron the table? And he said yes 5 times. So he felt fairly strongly about it.
Well, yeah, you know, ironing the table really makes a lot of difference. As you said, it has been raining for a long while now, so it might just make the conditions very damp. And I'm sure, I mean, I don't even doubt even one bit that both the players would have agreed immediately to get the tables ironed, because at the end of the day, you want to see a good game.
Yes.
And I can clearly, you know, even if no matter what the condition is, I think Rob's feeling very comfortable. He looks like he's got the hang of the table very well. And he plays with a very distinct nonchalance.
Yeah.
You know, I noticed that in his game.
That's exactly the word for it. I was saying he's very casual, but it's actually nonchalance. He just wanders around the table like he's at home.
Seems unperturbed.
Yeah.
And that's the way to play the game, really. You know,
Yeah.
you can't make it a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
And Rob looks really, you know, on his game today.
Yes.
And slightly struggling with the position of the 3 balls right now. He's got some decision to make here about the next shot.
So, Sarav, how much of your travelling companions do you see when you're at home? Are you in the same city, or you're here with Dhruv Sidwala and Dwaj Haria and Raja Subramanian?
Well, I do meet them very often back in India, because you know, we play all the common tournaments. But I mean, as much as I would hate to say this, but there are fewer tournaments in billiards than there are for snooker. And since I'm playing snooker as well, so I actually end up meeting my snooker mates more than my billiard mates. So, but honestly, there is a lot of traveling back at home, because there are a lot of tournaments, and because India is part of the Asian subcontinent, we've got a lot of events happening from the ACBS, which is the Asian Confederation of Billiard Sports, a lot of billiards, a lot of snooker. So there is a lot of traveling, and of course no complaints about that. And you know, when we get to travel for an odd tournament in Australia, it's always great, because this part of the world is so beautiful. And we were just echoing the same feeling, all of us, Dhruv, Dwaj, Raja and myself, you know, about Melbourne. We've been to Sydney also a couple of times. So, you know, all in all, this is just brilliant. As we speak, he's really having the rub of the green, isn't he, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, they say that, you know, when you start playing well, even the luck starts to favour you.
It's true.
And we can see a classic example of that.
Yes.
And he could have left the red in a much more comfortable position for Rob, and the reds landed up perfectly for... I'm sorry, he could have left the red at a very comfortable position for Matt, but he doesn't really have to do much. He just has to push the yellow to one of the cushions, and
So you're from a billiards playing dynasty. Your father Manoj was a fantastic player in his time.
he was world champion. He won the IBSF world title in 1990, and he is the chief coach of India now. He's also he's a world snooker coach, also appointed by the IBSF.
Yes.
So in a way, I'm very lucky that I have him by my side.
Yes. Was there any possibility growing up that you couldn't have been a billiards and snooker player?
Well, it's doubtful, because I tell you what happened in 1990 when he won the world title. There was fanfare everywhere, and at that time, unlike now, you know, you have Sky and you have all the thousands of channels on television. But at that time in India, you had just one channel on the television, that was Doordarshan, which was the national, like you have the BBC one over here, I mean in England. So there was just one channel back in those days in India, and my father was live on television for 8 hours when he was playing the world final. And that actually caught the collective imagination of every person who was living in Calcutta at that time, because it was huge. 8 hours live on television, it was huge, and everyone in India saw it. So he was an overnight star.
Yes.
And
It's not like other sports, if you're watching soccer, you never actually see people's faces, do you? It's just little legs running around in the big pitch.
you hear the faces distinct.
The face is distinct.
And what happened was that for a young boy, I was just 6 years old, it just got my imagination, because I didn't really know what he's done, but I knew he did something big. And as a child, as a 6-year-old, I just wanted to emulate him. I wanted to do something as big as he had done. And then later on, when I was growing up, I realized, my father's won the world title, and that's huge.
Yes.
And well, for me to come to this game was just a no-brainer, honestly, for me.
Yes.
Because I was just besotted by the charm and the genteel surroundings of this game.
Yes.
And and things fell into place very early in life. Started doing well, and once you start doing well, you kind of get a push that I can do something in this field, and that helps you. So that has been the story so far, but this frame I think looks a little patchy to me.
So far?
There's a lot of white potting and double balking, and no one's really taken off yet. Rob did have a chance. He made 43, I think. Was that a 43 break? Not too sure about it, but
Sir Rav, this is an appalling admission. I've been chatting to you and not watching the frame as carefully as I should have.
Well, that's all right. It's a little bit of distraction. It doesn't harm anyone.
Well, I figure people can turn the sound off if they don't want to listen to us. So how did you enjoy the reception at Victorian Government House with the Governor?
Well, honestly, I couldn't be present in that because my flight was coming in late.
Oh, I see.
So I only got in by 8 o'clock and the function was over by then. But I hear from Raja, who's my fellow companion from India, that he's absolutely spellbound seeing the Governor House and especially the billiard room. I think it was fantastic. And what's heartening is that the effort that you all are making to promote the game at the government level, at the Victorian level, government level.
Well, we're very lucky here because the Victorian government is actually assisting with the sponsorship for this, in addition to the governor herself, Linda de Soo. The Victorian government state significant sporting events program is supporting this tournament as well. So we're very fortunate. Of course, there's a lot of Victorians love their history, and billiards has been a big part of their history with the Lindrum family being set up in Melbourne. Have you ever had a chance to go out to?
Not really. I just saw a few pictures on social media. I think Rob had visited his cemetery earlier, during the championship, and I have read Lindrum's biography.
Yes, the Andrew Ricketts one.
I'm spellbound, honestly, because that man was beyond genius, I think.
Yes.
And in fact, I remember one particular anecdote where he was sitting with some press reporters in a press conference, and one of the ladies asked him that, Walter, you are the greatest billiards player that the world has ever seen, and you make such records which are unthinkable of. Do you think anyone can be as great as you can? And he replied, he said, no, I don't think anyone can be as great as me, because no one is foolish enough to practice 16 hours a day.
Yes, exactly.
And for me, that one statement tells a lot,
Yes.
If there's any youngster who's looking for inspiration, he can find it in those few sentences.
Yes.
So,
but the world's a different place now. Back then, there were perhaps not so many pastimes or things that you could do. Now there's so many choices for young people. That's the reason.
Right,
I don't
but
think
if you have a burning desire to achieve something in one field,
yes,
and if you have the ability to shut yourself out from the distractions which society throws at us every now and then, there's no reason why you can't get there. It's just that we succumb. We succumb to these distractions.
Yes. Just drops in.
Just dropped in.
Not
Matthew's
one extra
heart
ounce
would have
of
been
energy.
on his mouth right now. because he really needs to get going now, because
He has to get
one
going.
more frame and the match is almost away from his
Yes,
hands, because
yes.
5-2 is
That's hard to come back.
hard to come back from there.
Now, I didn't want to raise it, but since you have raised comebacks, you were suffered at the hands of quite a comeback today, I think.
Honestly, I don't want to be reminded of that, because
I'm sorry for raising it.
no, that's fine. I'm just kidding with you. Yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable, because 3-0 up, I was flowing, I was making 140s and unfinished breaks, and that's the uniqueness of our sport. I mean, 1 minute you're rolling,
Yes.
as if no one can stop you, and something somewhere just doesn't click for 1 or 2 shots, and you can just find yourself in the back foot.
Yes.
And that is our sport. That's the beauty of our sport.
Yes.
And very few will understand it, but the people who play, how
Yes.
fragile it is, and
Yes.
how delicate it is, and how you can never ever take your lead or your advantage for granted.
Yes.
It's to do with most sports, right? But it was very bitter to lose that match to Peter.
Yes.
In fact, even in the 4th frame, after leading 3-0, I was up 60 points.
Really.
And Peter's made 3 breaks of 140.
And you only had to get to 4, didn't you? It was
Yeah,
best of
just had
7.
to get to
so,
4.
so you're leading 3-0. You're up 60-0
Up
in the next
60,
frame.
yeah. And of course, but I've played some atrocious shots. Some of the shot selection was correct. So, and at that level, at the level which Peter plays, you're bound to be punished. But there's a lot of positives that I do take back every time there's a loss or even a win. You do introspect and try and come back stronger. And I think that's what Matt's doing right now, because I'm sure that while he was sitting on his chair, he would have done a lot of thinking, and it looks like he's coming back stronger now.
He's a dogged competitor. I mean,
He is indeed.
The one thing that you can say about Matthew is that he is always trying. Success or no success, he is always trying. So full credit to him.
And he's keeping the balls really close to each other. He's not finding it a difficult next shot, which is the key, right, to be on the table. You have to make your game easy.
Yes.
And that's what he needs to do now. Keep the balls close and just score, That's the key during these situations. And sometimes, we get advised, especially in billiards, no matter what, keep one ball in play. Don't try to do fancy things when you're down. I think that's what Matthew's doing right now.
Is there, other people have made the observation that many of the Indian players share a certain style in terms of shot selection and how aggressively or not aggressively you're going to play. Is there a national coaching playbook, if you like, that says when you get to this point, don't be too aggressive, or take this shot on, or are there certain shots that are not advised? Or
No, there's nothing like that. I think every player's style is unique, and I don't think any coach can interfere with that, because that's your natural grain. That's how you play the game naturally. And in India, there are 10 players who are so good right now. I mean, anyone can beat anyone. Gosh, that's quite a surprising miss. I didn't expect Matthew to miss that. He was really rolling. He's on 55 and Rob Hall is on 43. So yeah, coming back to your question. Yeah, of course, yeah, Matthew needs to win this, because 5-2 is too big a lead. Because he's also, it's been a while they've been playing this final. It started at 5, so it's already 3.5 hours, almost going on to 4 hours. So, they will also be a little tired.
how much does mental concentration, the ability to stay with the task, affect play?
I think at the top level, the most important thing is the mental aspect. I think ability-wise, if you see the top 15 players in the world or the top 10 players of the world, there are few who are cut above the rest. But I think if your mental aspect is in place, you can do wonders in this game. And one of the things is that I've learned is in our sport, you can't make it a matter of life and death when you play. You have to enjoy the game, no matter what, because life is actually big. It's huge, and it's way beyond just the 6 feet by 12 feet expanse of the green base. There's lots more happening in life, and when you realize that, and when you play with that realization, I think it sort of helps your game as well. And for our sport, even a slight twitch in the hand or what nerves can do to you, I've faced it. We all have faced it. So if a player can work with his mental aspect, I think he can just. I mean, there's no limits to what he can achieve in the game.
Talking about concentration, a couple of years ago I watched you play Robbie Faldavari in a best of 9 that took 8 hours and 20 minutes. And that
I'm never going to forget that match.
No, it was extraordinary in a number of ways. Firstly, how you were both able to keep your concentration.
I wasn't able to keep my concentration, honestly.
Oh, you did brilliantly.
I won by the skin of my teeth, but
yes.
I can bet my bottom dollar that I was not being able to keep my concentration going. Not taking away anything from Robbie, but
well, neither of you went to the top in 9 frames, and I think that was a respect thing. Yeah, neither of you went to the top in 9 frames, and I spoke to Robbie later.
Right? It was 5-4.
It was 5-4.
Yeah, I won 5-4, I think, and I played Matty in the final.
Yeah,
and my final finished at 3 o'clock in the morning.
The final
and
finished at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was freezing.
And the reality was that it was going to be tough for either you or Robbie to get through, because you almost killed each other in the semi-final. You were both.
Well, I don't know if honestly I don't know if I killed Robbie, because I'm quite a quick player.
Robbie's pretty tough. I don't think you can kill him.
I'm quite a quick player, honestly, in billiards. But yeah, you have to. Not everyone is cut to the same size. Different strokes for different folks, as they say. And Robbie is one of the slower players, and I knew that before the match that I was up against. What I was up against.
Yes.
So it was a challenge. Especially when your opponent is taking time on the table. For you to keep your concentration going when you are sitting, it's actually a tough task, especially in billiards where you can just go on and on and on at the top. So I have special memories of that. In fact, when I went back to India, there was a newspaper article which said that I was left with nothing left in me after 17 hours. Something like that, I remember. It was in the Times of India, and that was quite true, honestly, because Matty was fresh. He had like a 5-hour break in between.
He went home and had a sleep.
He had a sleep and he came back.
But you did remarkably well. I think in the final, you were still able to produce. I mean, it was an incredible effort.
I was 3-0 up.
Yeah.
With Matty. I don't know what's with me and 3-0, but I think I should not. I just should not win the third frame. Yes. I should concede the third frame.
Yes. Yes. Well, I thought it was a very brave effort from both you and Robbie. Robbie hasn't been playing much tournament billiards, and it was a terrific effort firstly for him to enter the competition, and then to fight so doggedly in that semi-final.
But I think he's also. I think he is largely responsible for billiards being where it is in Australia.
I think he is.
Because Matty is next generation.
He is.
And Robbie was playing in the pro circuit, and he was a dreaded competitor.
Yes.
And sometimes you need a hero. Sometimes you need someone to show you what can be achieved in the game.
Yes.
And I think Robbie's done that for Australian billiards.
We've only produced 3 world champions at Q Sports, Walter Lindrum, Neil Robertson and Robbie.
And Steve Mifsud as well?
Well, in
Snooker.
IBSF, I mean at professional level, but yes, and in fact Robbie won both IBSF and and world professional level WPBSA as well. So there's no doubt that in the current generation that he's largely responsible for the interest that's being maintained in the game.
Yeah. And Matthews seems like he's finally found his footing in this frame, and that's where every billiard player wants to be, at the top of the table as soon as possible. And these tables really are conducive to playing top of the table because they're not very fast. The
No.
balls hold on to the top of the table.
So it's a responsive cloth and a slow cushion. Maybe that makes for good top.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry, excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. You have a star table here at the Revington, and it's not easy to control the balls here at the top of the table because they're so quick, they're so responsive. Billiard players would always, like to play in slightly slow conditions. Slightly, I don't mean sluggish tables, but
No.
when the balls can hold at the top of the table, it's a dream.
It's because there's so many soft shots, so
Exactly,
many delicate
exactly,
touch
and
shots.
you can get your arm going. You don't need to sort of jerk your hand and play shots which you would end up messing. So
Yes.
I think
Did that go? Oh no, it's popped out.
he got a cannon, but he would have liked the red to be available
In
for
the
the pot.
jaws,
But
yeah.
he'll have to break the top of the table game here. So that's not turned out very well for him.
No, he's got a red pot, but nothing easy after this. Another red pot, perhaps. I know he's come up for a loser. Losers any losing hazard. It's official. Back from when the game was comprised of winning
This
and
shot that
losing
Matthew's
hazards.
playing now is actually a very tricky shot. To judge the pace, to
On
just
these
judge the
tables it
strength,
is.
and that's actually better than it looked. The shot.
Yeah.
It can easily go wrong. I mean,
Yep.
a billiard player would know what a dreaded shot this is because
Yes.
you can hit it too hard.
Yes.
You can split the balls too much. So I think he's back into prime position now.
Yes.
And he's on 129, needing just 21 points. And I think if
So
he
he
can
doesn't
get
have
this
to go
frame
to
on
the
the
top,
board,
does he? Yeah.
he's right back into this match.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the key now is to just keep one ball in play because he doesn't need too many points, just 19 points. He can do that just with the red. So I think he should just concentrate on keeping the red in play.
Yes. Keep it simple.
So the red comes up into the center spot after this spot. And this is where the challenge lies, when you have slightly slower tables, you need to bang
Punch
the
that ball.
punch it really hard so that you can come on the right side of the red. And that you see Matthew aiming right low into the cue ball
With reverse side.
with reverse side, and he's not been able to come to the right side of the
So
red
he's
spot.
actually played that ball with left hand side.
That's right,
but
yeah.
When it's because it's going backwards, when it hits the cushion, it turns into running side and throws the ball towards the middle spot, centre spot. He's got.
I think he's played a good shot over
he
here.
has, yeah. So 2 or 3 more scoring shots. 3 more scoring shots.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing here. He's playing the cannon, which is definitely the right shot to play here.
Ooh, that's gone a little wrong. I
But
wanted a
he
little bit more than
didn't
yellow.
get into the ball
No.
well enough over there.
You should
But
be
that's
able to
this
screw
is
him
not
off
yet.
this without too much drama. Playing running side on this one.
Yeah,
Bread and butter shot.
and 3
Same
points
with
needed.
3 points in off the red. The yellow in off is actually easier, but
I think he's just going to play a drop cannon and then hope to get another shot with the red or the white. Yeah,
yep, that's fine.
he
As
needs
long
the
as
yellow
that
to stop.
doesn't
Yeah.
stop. Whoa. Okay. Should cash out here and go 4-3.
Well, yeah. And the audience applauds.
Everybody loves it, and we might change our commentary team again. Thank you, Sarav. It's been a
Thank
great
you. It's
pleasure.
been a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was all right. A bit of friendly chat.
Well done, mate.
Okay, it's Steve lifts it here, and Dave Collins. You just have to press it once.
Getting interesting now, Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be looking like could possibly go all the way.
Yes, I agree there. Matthew Bolton has been called the Bulldog in the past for his fighting qualities, as you would know, Steve.
Yes, absolutely, Dave. I was commentating with David Pitt earlier, and I called him a pit bull, the pit bull of Australian billiards and snooker. He just doesn't let go. So it's going to be interesting to see as the match progresses how it's going to pan out. But he looks like he's got that look in his eye at the moment, and he's got the balls down at the top very early here.
Yes, he'll be extremely disappointed not to make a very high score here, if not finish the frame. So, and just having come off a 90 break the previous frame, it would be certainly have his touch in.
How does that look to you, Dave? Does it look like he probably stunned a little bit too much there?
He's come up a little bit high there.
He was looking to go to perfect top, but I don't think he can get the yellow perfectly. No.
Had to recover with a touch shot there, and which can go wrong, but handled it very well. Run through for the cross loser. No. Not bad. Should be able to make the shot. He'll be playing for drop cannon here to push the red over the hole and bring the white behind the spot next shot.
He looks to be playing a little bit quicker now. Sort of
Yes,
got his tail up and he's got a bit of rhythm. And
yes, well, billiards is a rhythm game, and just about all the top players play quickly and don't second guess themselves.
oh, that's worked out lovely. That drop cannon.
I think he was a bit lucky there. I don't think he played to hit that side of the red, and it turned out all right.
So this is where he likes him. We'll probably go up for a pot here. No, he's gone around the other side.
So he needs to score around 100 points from this position, which shouldn't be a problem for him. Looking very much like 4 all now, Steve.
Now he's got it into postman's knock position, which he won't want to hold postman's knock for too long. Postman's knock's when the yellow's hard up behind the red spot.
Yes, he can certainly play postman's knock if he chooses, but he prefers to floating white. He feels he's got more control.
Yeah, and he has to cross the balk line at between 80 and 100, so it doesn't really You can still do it with postman's knock, but it's a lot easier to cross the walk line when you're playing floating wide. So
Yes, much more room for error.
I'm pretty sure we'll see him knock that yellow off before he gets to 80. But at the moment, he's got it perfect, and we'll just carry on. Be another pot now. We'll even the angle for the cannon. Yeah, he's looking very, very comfortable now. He's in great shape. So there it is. The yellow's off now, and that's just about perfect now. If he plays up for a cannon, he'll be able to knock that yellow up closer to the red spot. This is a lovely position because you just leave the red over the pocket, knock the yellow up. I'm not sure. I think he's still got that pot on the red.
Yes, I think he can just cut it in and check it.
No,
No, he's played a little in off. That's fair enough. The other shot might have been a little bit risky. They can miss and leave a red in the jaws. Should be a comfortable pot from hand. Very nice. Now he's going to have to find a way to bring the white out of balk, in and out of balk. Before he reaches 100.
That's it, Dave. The break is 84 now, so he's got 15 more points in which to do that. So there's a number of ways you can do it.
Yes.
87. Wow. Doesn't really want to do it here. That makes the pot a bit too difficult. So
Yes, no,
another
he wouldn't
cannon
take.
and try
Yes.
and
Push the
finish
red
it
towards the
better.
hole.
So just the distraction of having to go in and out of balk. Just
That is that's a big lapse in concentration. He'll be very disappointed there, Matthew. Looking like he was a big chance to get the 4-all, and Rob Hall will be delighted to be at the table.
But this is the problem, Dave. When you've got to cross the balk line, it's fine when you're in perfect top of the table position, but when you're not, it's a bit taxing. You've got to really try and work it out. And then, as you saw, he wanted to cross it earlier, but that shot didn't go right. And
Yes.
as it gets closer to that 99-point mark,
Yes, you can leave it too late sometimes, and that was definitely on his mind, that what he had to do very quickly, and now it looks like Rob could be in for some sort of score, as he's very proficient at top of the table as well. It's a very nice shot, that.
that's pretty good. It's been great having these international players here, Dave. We've had players from India,
Yes.
England, Malaysia.
Yes, it's been a delight to catch up with a lot of the boys, and
Fantastic. Having top-class billiards in Melbourne.
Yes, and I myself was beaten by a top Indian player, and it was enjoyable playing. I hadn't played him before, so. And yourself, Steve, you played a couple of players you hadn't played before, which is always good to see someone else's game, and You never know, you pick up a shot here and there.
Well, it's just great, Dave. I mean, we're used to playing each other, you know, the Australian players, but we don't get that much exposure against these guys. It was the first time I played Rob, so it was really enjoyable to play. And yeah, I've been watching his results. He's had a 480 break recently, and had a few good wins against Peter Gilchrist.
Yes, beating the very top players in the world, and which puts him up there in the first 5 or 6, I guess you could say. So you'd expect him to make a good contribution here. But as we said before, you always got to go in and out of ball when you get to between 80 and 100. So your opponent always feels like he has a chance with his opponent having to do that.
I think you'd appreciate the way Rob plays, Dave. He really just gets on with the game, and
Yes.
doesn't really take too much time. Sees the right shot straight away, a couple of feathers, and away he goes. He's got really good rhythm and walks around the table with a lot of confidence.
Yes, he gives himself every chance with his rhythm.
A little bit short, that one.
The previous shot was the one that caused that, Steve. He landed too wide of the cannon and he had to force it. So it's not so much the shot he's actually played that caused it. It's the one beforehand which made him have to play it.
Yeah. Well, the shot he's faced with here it's okay if you're not using the rest, but it's a little bit tricky to screw in off.
Yeah, you might be able to force it, I think, which gives a truer angle. It's about a matter of speed.
Yep.
So
I thought he had to screw it, but yeah, maybe you're right.
it's hard to say. It's hard to say from here. To me, it looks like it's just a force read in, up the table, through ball, and back down again. So, well, that does look a bit wider, doesn't it, Steve? Yeah. You could be right.
Now he's got the extension as well, which adds a little bit, because your cue, the way it throws and everything's a little bit different with the extension. So he's played quite well. Yeah.
He doesn't really want this to land hard up on the cushion or wide. Well, I'd suggest he'll be screwing off the red here and bringing it around off 2 cushions through balk and back out down the table again over the, as we see it, the right hand side pocket. That's my guess.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Dave. He's
Off 3 cushions actually, the left cushion, the top and the side, and come down towards the...
The problem with this is your yellow can get stuck to the push.
Yeah,
and the balls get ahead of you like
yeah,
that.
well that's what he tried to do. The main shot there was Steve was...
Oh, look at this, Dave.
He got a bit lucky on that one.
Look at that. Let's hit the jaws in the middle.
Yes,
The
was
jaws
very,
of the
very
green
lucky.
pocket and ended up over the middle. So if he gets this right now, he'll be back on the red on the spot.
With the previous shot there, it was a matter of controlling the red, and if you control the red, you can virtually control the game. You wouldn't be too worried about the white. As long as you got the red near in off a pop position, he would have been okay. This landed slightly difficult too, so this will...
Yeah, he's sort of just
Might
in between there,
just
isn't
drop it in,
yeah, could have
play for the
got
cross
red.
loser. He missed it, no, fell in.
More trouble, Dave. More trouble.
No
'cause
trouble.
He's got
I'm a bit
another-
surprised from that angle he landed short on the cross loser, because you'd think that
Yeah,
the table was slowing up a little bit.
yeah. He caught it a bit thick, so he potted it to one side of the pocket.
Yes,
Yeah, that was
he might have fluked it wide.
no.
Rock ball, 56.
Well, didn't he be disappointed with that little break of 40 or 50? I'm not sure if Matthew Bolton could have gone off this. It's about the only really good option he's got here. If he can't go on off it, well, he might be able to just pot the ball and play it, get a few points off the red and play safe. It's hard to say at the moment.
I think he might be able to hit the yellow onto the jaw and get the in off, but the yellow's going to go.
Looks like he's playing the in off. Yes, that's a great shot. Yeah, well picked up, Steve. That's a great shot, but not an easy shot to play. That.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this could be top in 3 here. One good in off the yellow. Gets the weight right. He's going to have a drop cannon, and he's back at top. Wow.
Yes, well,
That's pretty good though.
That's pretty good.
That's
yes.
nice there.
Just a little bit of right hand side on that, and all depends. This is the key shot here. All if they land nice, he's
hit the red perfect.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you get that contact on the red like that,
Yeah.
9 out of 10, you're going to.
Perfect contact. Absolutely perfect. And I'd suggest we'll make these 50 odd points to go out and win the frame here. Well, another good pot required here, Steve. It's a shot you'd probably make, at least 9 out of 10, but they are missable, as you know, from that distance.
No problem, and absolutely perfect now, because he just gets this cannon off the yellow.
18.
He's looking good to square the match now.
Yes, a little soft screw shot, just a little bit of rye there. It didn't get enough work on the ball. But he's still okay.
Just going away from the top. A little bit short. Just got to play the long loser.
It's a funny game this. You look like to be perfect. You hit a shot at fraction too thin, and all of a sudden a problem can develop. But from as long as I've known Matthew, he'd miss one of these in 200. So under pressure, it can be a little bit more difficult.
Just a matter of getting the red across now towards that
Yes, the red's
right-hand top pocket.
He doesn't want to kiss here,
He's got the kiss.
but he's okay. He can still comfortable.
Now he's back at the top, and he's got 32 points to go out. So
He was stretching a bit there.
he put a bit of stun on that.
Yes,
Didn't need any
yes,
stun.
you're right. Well, he did, and he caught a little bit thick too, and plus stretching. He just probably should have checked his shot a bit, and well, there you go. He'll be very disappointed not going out there.
I thought the red was a possibility as well, the pot on the red, but he didn't look at that. So you've got an interesting match tomorrow, Dave, in the National Snooker. If there's any keen Billiards players watching this, come down, because all the best Aussies will be starting the National here at the Reventon Academy.
Yes, you're right, Steve.
Tomorrow morning, but
I've certainly got an interesting match. I'm playing your younger brother, James, and most of us call him Jimmy now. I don't think you do, but anyway, he can certainly play some billiards, and could be a tough morning for me, Steve.
I'm sure James won't mind me saying that he's been practicing 10 hours of floating wide every day, getting ready for you, Dave.
Oh, that's good. It's always good to play.
Very dedicated, my brother.
Yeah, done about
Loves
10.
his billiards.
Done about 10 hours, but that surprised me a little bit. Maybe 10 minutes, but he's such a natural player, a natural cueist. He
He is.
just falls in and plays billiards, snooker and pool very well. Winner of many tournaments. I don't know if we both want Jimmy to, your brother to play billiards too with Steve. He could cost us.
No doubt about that. If he started to play, I'm sure he'd be racking up 200 plus breaks. But
I remember a couple of seasons ago, he made a 166 first game of the year.
yeah, without any practice at all. Yeah.
So
Well, here we are, Dave. Like, this shot is vital, really, when you're playing top of the table, just to get this right and push that. So he's hit that a little bit too hard.
ooh,
He might have to massage this.
that appeared to bounce off the cushion a little bit hard there, Steve. And
Yeah, you're right. I think
But
a bit of moisture in the room. Maybe got a
yeah,
bit of a big bounce there, but
that's
close to touching. But yeah, he's going to have to massage this. Delicate little shot.
23.
No worries. But
yes. He was
he's got a nice little pot on the red here. Hasn't played it. He's played the canner.
a bit of a gas there. A lot of people thought he played the pot then, but
I think the camera angle we had, the pot looked maybe a bit easier than it actually was, and he's just
yes.
for safety, he's not took the.
I think his best option here is just to float this in, because otherwise he's risking. Yes, he's risking.
Rob Hall, 25.
He
Very surprised
That
that,
was
he
it,
came,
that was
he
it, that
screwed
was
it into that side. Like,
I mean,
yeah, just
the-
float that one in, I think.
that was a little bit of a. Oh, there you go.
My word.
It's all happening now. Both players are missing. The pressure's building.
I think I fancy Rob to get this. He likes this sort of forcing with, offs like that when they're close to the push. He doesn't. I wasn't even enforcing. I thought he had to go in and out of ball, but now he sets up the drop cannon here, and
Well, I
another
can't-
opportunity they're sort of giving it back to each other at the moment.
Well, Steve, I don't know what I'm doing on the commentary. I can't get it right. I'm saying Matthew's going to go out, and then Rob's going to, and then Matthew, and
Yeah, it's
well, I'm not going to
sometimes-
say that now. Maybe there's more. Maybe Matthew will get another shot.
Yeah.
7.
Sometimes the case in the final, the players, it's the last match and they tighten up a little bit. They've both been playing fantastic billiards throughout the week.
It's very tiring. The
That was a little bit
mental
fortunate.
strain.
That was a little bit fortunate, that kiss he got. He's landed absolutely perfect.
Oh, that's it, 9.
Yeah, there is fatigue as well. I had a long day yesterday of matches, and today semi-final and final. So I think at that point you've got to sort of allow yourself a couple of mistakes here and there. So
Yes,
to
he
keep your composure.
had quite a long game with you, Steve, and that's take a little bit out of him.
So 97, he's got 53 to go. In perfect position. Red will go back onto the middle spot now. So he's going to screw up the table. He's a bit short, but I think he's okay.
Yes.
He's pretty much straight on the red into the bottom corner.
Yes, he'll almost certainly just stop where the red is there and just play a cannon after it, so he doesn't have to do anything with the white ball. When I say white ball, we used to say calling the yellow used to be white. We used to play with two white balls. One had spots on it, but when we say in off the white, even though you're going off the yellow, it's the billiards player knows what we're talking about. Someone else who does not familiar with the game wouldn't know what you're talking about. They'd be saying it's yellow. But the good thing about these balls, Steve, with the spots on them, I think you can see how much spin you're putting on the ball,
Yes.
which is I think it's actually good for the snooker players to use it to when they're checking their cueing with.
Yes.
Try to-
100%. It gives you a lot of feedback on how the table's playing too, how much moisture's in the table,
Yeah.
how long the ball keeps spinning.
Yes.
A lot of stuff like that. So another tight frame.
Yes, for every frame you lose. It's two frames, because this would be, if Matthew happened to win, it would be 4-4, and if Rob wins, it's 5-3. So that's the difference between winning the frame and losing the frame. So having a 2-frame buffer for Rob would be most pleasing.
He's in good shape here. Soft little cannon, leave the red over the middle. Well, the red's a bit short. He's got to play the in off now, so just a matter of getting the red around the table. That looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, well, now the pressure's building again. He has to play a long loser. Should make it, but they are missable.
He seems to play him all with a little bit of check side, though.
Yes, well,
Do you do that, or do you play him plain ball?
I tend to play with a little bit of check too. I think it gives you more consistency as far as the throw goes. It doesn't throw as much. If you can get the ball not to throw as much, it's the path it takes is usually more consistent. Just another 25 points to get a 2-frame lead, and I'd be very surprised if he didn't score 25 from here.
So those of you who don't know Dave Collins, he's one of the legends of our sport in Australia. And his family background is in billiards. His cousin was multiple Australian champion, George Canham Jr., George Canham Sr. as well. Fantastic billiard player, so there's no one better in Australia at the moment playing billiards with the knowledge that Dave's got of the game.
Well, I think you're being very kind, Steve.
One of the few players who have won the Australian snooker and billiards in the same year.
Yes, well, back in '91, seems like a lifetime ago, Steve. But still playing the game, enjoying the game, and missing a few more times than I would like to, Steve. You know, but
So
still, it's a great game.
Yeah, you're still up there, Dave. Still getting good results. Still scoring good breaks. So you had a lot of influences, Dave, with your game. Obviously, your cousin,
Yes,
George Canham Sr. as well.
yeah. So, yeah, good George Gamble Senior could play nursery cannons, push me around the table, and it was great for exhibitions, as you can do card tricks as well. So there's a lot of older players that would know. Anyway, back to what's going on here, and it looks like Rob's only got to score another 2 times, and it's 5-3.
5-3 to Rob Hall, and
Matthew.
after this frame we're going to have a change in commentary. So David Pitt and Rex Wayne will be taking over. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Dave.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
no worries.
that,
Thanks, Steve.
and welcome boys.
Very good.
Okay, David Pitt joining you again on the CueballTV commentary for the final of the Pacific International Billiards Championship for 2018. I'm delighted to be joined in commentary by one of the stalwarts of our game, Rex Swain from Tasmania. Welcome, Rex.
Thank you, David.
For those that don't know Rex has been involved in billiards and snooker for many, many years. He's had a storied career in billiards and snooker administration. Currently still president of the Tasmanian Association, a former president of the Australian Billiards and Snooker Council, the founding president of the Oceania Billiards and Snooker Council, and a former board member of the International Billiards and Snooker Federation. So it's great to see you here again this year, Rex, refereeing and just doing whatever you can to help the game of billiards along. And we've been treated to a tremendous exhibition of billiards with this very strong field that we've had here this week.
To be congratulated, David. It has been a great field, and we haven't seen this sort of billiards for some time. What a brilliant festival it's been here. Snooker first up, and then this international one followed by the national championship starting tomorrow. But there was a big act before David to hear David Collins with Stephen Mifsud in commentary. They both came through the game when I was involved years ago. Brilliant players, lovely people. They're the sort of people we need in the game.
Yes, Rex, and I'm afraid we won't be able to offer quite the same level of expertise in our commentary on the game. As,
I think, David, you have got some good expertise. You've been playing very well of late, but certainly I'm certainly not a great player at all.
What I'm suggesting there, Rex, is that those two between them have won 24 Australian Championships through our sum total of Australian Championships is a big fat zero.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're just seeing the opening sallies in this ninth frame. If Rob Hall wins this, then this is the clinching frame for him. So he's within viewing distance of the finishing line, but could still be a long way to go. Matthew Bolton, as everyone knows, is a great fighter, and he'll be going flat chat to get this frame back, win the next, and then take this tournament to decide. He's missed a difficult pot off the spot there, and surrendered the table to Rob, who's now got a stunning off into the middle, and he'll be hoping to position the white favourably for himself. He's a master of these type of shots.
Oh, he's missed his run.
Commentator's curse.
We did see Matthew in Launceston a couple of weeks ago, where he came back from 4 frames to 1 down against Stephen Mifsud to win the Ron Atkins Classic. He's really a fighter. He is.
And what a fantastic tournament that was, Rex. You must have been absolutely thrilled with the firstly the number of entries that you got down in there in Tasmania, and then with the level of interest and support for the tournament from the people of Launceston and Tasmania.
David, it probably indicates the name that Ron Atkins was able to set up in the game over his many years of playing. Runner-up to Jimmy White in 1980 in Launceston, and we hope that a few people came along simply because of that.
I have no doubt that that's the case, Rex. Ron very, very fondly remembered all around Australia and indeed internationally in billiards and snooker. Sadly, Ron's no longer with us. He passed away last year at the age of 80 after having a just fantastic career in billiards and snooker as a player and an administrator. He really did it all. Lived in here in Melbourne for about 5 or 6 years, and really, everybody here in Melbourne got to know him, quite well then, and it was a great pleasure to know him. This is extraordinary. These two are just missing shots that they should be getting. could be a case, as Steve and David suggested, fatigue after a long 3 days of tough matches. The matches have been starting at 10 in the morning and finishing at 10 at night. These guys have had to be right on their game. Tough matches against world-class opponents, so it's a mental strain as well as a physical strain. However, Rob Hall's got first blood in this frame with an opening which make a set up a drop cannon. It's just possibly a little bit short. He may have to go in off the white here. That's extraordinary.
David, what's Rob Hall's ranking in the world at the moment?
Currently number 3, Rex. He's had tremendous results this year, beating Peter Gilchrist in the final of a major tournament over in the UK. Made a 480 break in that tournament, and his results in the last few years have been very consistent and very solid at the very top level. What a beautiful shot that nearly was. I have to correct myself. What a beautiful attempt that was from Matthew. A difficult run through cannon. Just caught the jaw. He couldn't afford to play that shot with any side because it was nearly straight, and he's just left it on the jaw. I'm just content to knock that red up into baulk and the white in the pocket. Now he'll leave a double baulk for Matthew, so advantage Rob in that little exchange. Just didn't quite get that exactly how he would have liked it, but it's pretty good. Matthew going to attack this and try and run away here. Oh, okay. Enough will do. Right in the middle of the table. Shot that he's going to try and knock the white out. Oh, that's a bit unlucky. He's trying to knock the red out there, I think, but he's caught the jaws and double baulked himself.
Could be a tough game at times.
Oh, it can be very tough, yeah. Just the jaws can send the balls in totally unexpected directions, not just the corner pockets, but the middle pockets. Your ball can be sailing around into apparently good position. Just catch a jaw and it'll throw it in a completely different path and make a mess of things. Matthew's having a think about what to do here. Very difficult to play safe here because Rob's got a simple screw back in off the red, and he can more or less put the red wherever he likes. So Matthew has to try and get the white somewhere, which makes it difficult for Rob. He may well be thinking, in fact he's thinking of playing a cannon, 2 cushions and then a cannon. He just gave that away by, he went through the middle. Just missed the yellow and didn't quite achieve that difficult shot.
David, what about Mike Russell? Where's he sit in world rankings at the moment?
Well, he's still in the top handful, but he hasn't played all that much in the last 12 months, and I was just looking at the order of merit earlier this week, and I see that in the current season, the 2017-18 season, he slipped down to about number 20 in the order of merit. The order of merit is the rankings for this season, whereas the rankings are a rolling ranking over, I think, at least 3 seasons. So he's still up there with the best players, but he hasn't quite been playing as much as he would have in the past. So the current top 3 in the rankings are well, that was an outrageous fluke there by Rob Hall. And not only did he fluke the red, but he's run back up into baulk and left himself with simply off the white. That's a really golden opportunity. But sadly for him, he's buried the red stone cold on the side cushion. And, too close to the cushion for the short journey, so I think you'll find he'll just be trying to play a cannon here and a little on this way. It's not a bad result. He's left himself a straight pot red here and the chance to score a few off the red and then perhaps rescue the white. very, very strong potter, Rob Hall. Very impressed with his potting. Where he needs to, he hits them. He can hit them damn hard for positional reasons. And also beautiful soft touch. He's a beautiful player. Beautiful billiards player. Oh, that's a good shot. He's played that with strong check side to take his ball across the table, leaving a half point off the white there. That was a good putt with all that side. But he's overhit this and lost the white unless he gets a draw. Again, the table was ironed at the suggestion of Steve Messett at the interval. And for the first frame or so, it was running more quickly, but the conditions down here are quite damp. There's been a bit of rain and moisture in the air, and it just means when that gets into the cloth, the table tends to run more slowly, and it's difficult for these guys. That was looking okay, that one, but the double kiss on the red, it's extraordinarily turned things around. A moment ago, Rob was the beneficiary of a massive fluke. You know, a minute or so later, a double kiss has robbed him of a cannon, and left the red over the hole, and suddenly Matthews back in. He's played that nicely to leave himself an in off the yellow here. Strong right hand side, which will take it off the jaw into the pocket. Lovely shot. That nice pace. But the real skill was the previous red, where he positioned himself perfectly for that shot. The in off was relatively easy after the excellence of his previous spot.
So that was a bit short again.
Yeah, I think he's okay. You can just play this direct. Bring him down together at the top of the table. This is fine. This is fine. It's staggering to think, that it was Rex that only, within the last 20 years or so, the numbers in billiards were really down. Typically, we had sort of 12 or 16 players playing in the Australian Championship. And then this year here at Yarraville, at the Reverend Academy, we've got 50 players in the Open event and 48 players in the National, which is just fantastic. There's been a terrific resurgence in interest in billiards for a number of factors. But what's your view on the causes of the resurgence?
Well, we're very lucky in Tasmania to have a young player who's doing very, very well. I'm not sure it is, but it's probably a better opportunity for younger players now than it was maybe 10 or so years ago. And back in the days of David Collins that we were hearing from earlier, there was probably better coaches and players around that could kick it along.
Yes, young Josh Burns is I saw him earlier. He's the youngest player ever to win the Tasmanian Billiards Championship, and he made a 200 break in last year, his first 200. So he's over here for the National. He'll be very keen to match himself against the best in Australia and see how he can go.
I watched the 247 break in Launceston. He had very nice control. When he lost the break, it surprised us. He looked as though he was going for a big number.
It's great to see. Yes, well, there's been a new body sprung up in the last 3 years or so, Billiards Australia.
Yeah.
And Jason Colbrook, who's the leader of that body, has done a terrific job in reviving interest in billiards. And Matthews just flicked the yellow on the way back there, which left him out of position. But he's played a very nice, slow cannon with strong side off the cushion, and he's back here. He's just played a delicate. delicate in-off, quite difficult when he's that close to the balls. So there's now a circuit of billiard tournaments around Australia. We've got tournaments in Queensland, South Australia, 2 or 3 in Sydney, and of course the Open and the National here in Melbourne. So some of these retired billiards players like myself can go around and play in half a dozen or so tournaments every year, and there's a lot of interest in it now, which is absolutely great. Young players too in those tournaments up in New South Wales. We've seen a couple of young kids coming in and playing in those tournaments. Good promising kids. Very good young player in Queensland who've got a terrific junior program up there. So things are looking up in the billiards world, and of course snooker as well. Snooker's strong.
We're pretty keen to cash in Tasmania as well. We need to do that for you and Josh to make competition for it. This week Cannons, David.
Almost. He's just got them out from the cannon there in what the Americans call a rail nurse position. He's going to have to break these up now. He's just going to try and work out a way that he can open these up for some more open billiards. He's only got 1 or possibly 2 more cannons left here. See what he does. Just try and work this possibly. Ooh, interesting shot. Okay, he's left himself screwing off the red. This isn't too difficult for a player of his calibre. Driving the red around the table to near the yellow. That's actually too short. So now he's going to have to play cannon yellow, cushion, red. Not always easy to judge these, but of course Matthew's a complete master of this sort of thing. And yeah, as I said, not always easy to judge those. Just slipped across the top of the red there, and he's not happy.
That's a big mess.
Wasn't an easy shot, but when he's flying, Matthew would just gobble that up, and in fact he'd be playing to put the object ball, the first object ball behind the spot and leave himself a straight red. But back to Rob Hall, who's behind in this frame. Matthew's leading 85 to 28. There's an opportunity now for Rob to see what he can do. His choices are not very good here. He's got to thin in off the white, thin in off the red in the middle, or pot the red into the corner. But none of them is by any stretch of the imagination a gimme. Looks like he's taking on the red. Oh, what a good shot that was. What a tremendous shot. He's powered that red in at high speed with great power and control, and stunned across the table for an in off the white. It could be a match-winning shot. Oh, that's okay. It slowed down and left him in position. Looked initially as though he may have overcooked that in off. Yeah, now he's set the white up for a drop cannon, and this should take him down to the top of the table position.
The National Championship tomorrow, David, Matthew would be favourite. Absolutely, he'd get some opposition from Stephen, I'd imagine.
Well, Steve Mifsud's standing right behind us, Rex, and he's probably the second favourite, equal second favourite with Joe Manici, but I'm sure Stephen will agree that Matthew is a strong favourite. Oh, there we go. Another mistake. So Rob just got 2 straight on the walls there, lined himself up where he couldn't play a cannon, attempted a screw back into the corner pocket and just caught the jaw, leaving them in a position. And I was showing Steve Mifsud a shot here last week where you can double kiss off this. I was amazed that there was a shot that I could show Steve. You can double kiss off this and just Oh, he played that beautifully, played that cushion first and just drifted that into the pocket. That was a very good shot. And got the white out into a nice spot for a drop cannon back to the top. Red will travel across the table over the corner pocket. Doesn't want that to go in. That's perfect. Yeah, Matthews a very strong favourite for the National. He's won it 17 times.
Yep.
And I don't think he's been beaten by an Australian at billiards for about 15 years. The one time that he didn't win the Australian Championship about 5 years ago here at Yarraville was when he had a shoulder injury which prevented him from playing, but he's made a full recovery from that and is just marching on from strength to strength. Just to give you an idea of just how good Matthew is, I did an analysis after the Australian Championship last year of his century breaks in the tournament. Matthew's made over 500 century breaks.
Wow.
In the Australian Championship and in the Australian Open. It's a staggering number. And including those, of course, is many breaks, over 400 and 500, and twice breaking the Australian record with a 736 here at Yarraville, and last year on this same table, 809, which was a wonderful break. Yeah. Oh, pretty shot. A rainbow went off, double kissing off the white with strong left-hand side to just curl around. Top spin, taking it back towards the pocket, and the side spin, taking it off the jaw into the pocket. It's a very pretty and courageous shot. Old mate used to say that Walter Lyndon would say to him, billiards is a game of courage. Because you've got to have the courage to play difficult shots slowly. If you miss them, your opponent is in, but if you get them, then you're in. That was a courageous shot, and it's turned out very well for him.
Yeah, last year it did look as though he would nudge 1,000. Hasn't been done in Australia for a long time.
Very long time. Certainly not in competitive play, not since the war, not since London. Little cannon nudging the red towards the pocket. He's got a little bit of angle. He'll stun out off this red and just come up to leave himself a cannon. He hasn't quite hit that one hard enough, I don't think. It's a little bit hard to see on this camera angle. He had a bit more angle than I thought he did. Doesn't matter if the red goes in there because he's on quite a good angle. He preferred to be on this side of the table. And, he's in a great position here.
37.
Cannon from white to red. Pot the red and just continue on the top of the table. Oh yes. Now Matthew only needing a few to go out here. He needs 17 more. He's in perfect position. He doesn't need to worry about the book line rule, and this is a walk in the park for him. Every time we say that, they miss. Commentator's curse, it's called.
Yes, he's looking great.
And he can just finish off this frame, taking the match score to 5 frames to 4. Well, Rob Paul, so good comeback there by Matthew to win that one, and set us up for a close finish in the remaining 1 or 2 frames of this tournament.
He's got a big habit of coming from behind.
He's never beaten Rex. Had one in you? Okay. So Rex, thanks very much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure to have you here and have a little chat on CueballTV with Dan Lynch pressing all the buttons. And we're going to hand over now in commentary to Malaysia's champion, Advent Tay, joined by Peter Tankard.
Right. Well, thank you for that, and thank Dan for the opportunity to be able to hear, see this commentary. Thank you.
Rob ball 3.
Slight change in plan. Edwin Tay has been, what's the right word? Replaced by a legend, thank you. I'm joined in commentary by the world #1, Peter Gilchrist. Welcome, Peter. Just,
Thanks, Peter.
you can take your finger off that now. Yep, you're good. You can just put that down. Yep. So, Pete, is it going much the way you thought it might?
I said before the game that it'd be 6-4, 6-5 either way. So,
Yeah.
I think they both play pretty similar games. Not as precise as some of the top players, but still quite good. Yeah.
Yes. So, if you'd been watching earlier, you would have seen that the table slowed up tremendously until the mid-session break, and then they ironed it. But it looks like it's slowing up again now. Rob's certainly thrashing at them compared to how he usually plays, and Matthew's playing everything a bit too strongly as well, or he's feeling that he has to get the ball around. They couldn't get it back to the middle pockets earlier in the day.
Right. It's a poor shot from Matthew, isn't it?
Yeah.
Left Rob in. Rob will make a 150 now, and it'll be all over.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah.
I'm prepared to bet against that because I've been watching this and they've both been struggling to make 20.
What, from this position?
Yeah.
He's
No, I'm prepared to bet that he won't make 50.
50.
Yep, he won't make 50.
Is it a beer or?
Yeah, it's a beer.
Beer bet. Okay, yeah.
Just because they've both been battling.
Okay. What's he going to play here, Peter?
Well, why would you ask me? I should be asking you. How would you describe Rob's style of top of the table?
Not as precise as some of the as in terms of delicate wise, but very proficient at Postman's knock. Plays a little bit of floating white, and I think he gets out of trouble a lot by he's such a good potter, you know.
Tremendous potter.
Never really missed the red. He was saying earlier in the day, he played Steve Mifsud, and he was saying how fantastic Steve was at potting. He said he just never missed the pot. Well, I think the same when I play Rob. You know, Rob never missed the pot.
Yeah, it probably helps a lot that Steve was the IBSF World Snooker Champion.
Yeah, I said that to Rob. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Steve gives a lot away to Rob in terms of potting. Rob's drilled some fantastic pots in this match.
Yeah. I think the B is looking safe for me here, Peter.
You're thinking that?
Yeah. This will be all over Facebook if Rob wins. Whenever he wins, he's massive on Facebook. When he loses nothing at all.
Oh, that just settled back a
He's
little bit.
all right, yeah.
He's all right. So were you each awarded a knighthood at Government House this week?
Say that again, Peter.
Were you each awarded a knighthood at Government House this week?
It was mentioned, but they never come true with their promises. That was one of the reasons why I went there.
Right.
You know, when I was in Singapore, they did mention a knighthood, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Do you think that's on the cards for you as well, Peter?
Pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
And what's that for then?
Just waiting for the phone call.
So you need another 10 points?
Oh, you're just looking for the beer. You're
That's
not
all,
looking
yeah,
for
it
the
doesn't
beer.
matter.
You're a thirsty man. Yes, you're right. He's looking fairly secure here.
I haven't really been watching the earlier part of the matches.
They've
Has
both
there been
been
any?
battling.
Has there been any banging of the cues or banging of the tables by any of the players?
By one of the players.
Can I guess which one?
I think you probably can. I think you probably can. We said at the beginning that you can tell how Matt's feeling by the look on his face and his demeanour at the table. Robbie wouldn't know whether he was having a good day or a bad day, really. He's very nonchalant. Drags his cue behind him, as you can just see there. Seems to wander up to the table with his cue dragging behind him. It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh in Christopher Robin, who used to drag his bear around. Well, Christopher Robin used to drag Winnie the Pooh around, that is.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell whether Rob was winning or losing, would
No,
you?
you
You know, he's
couldn't,
just
no.
the same all the time. Reminds me of one of my idols, really, Norman Dagley. He was the same, you know, he'd be sat in his chair and you wouldn't know whether he was 1,000 points in front or 1,000 points behind.
Yes.
Just completely the same. And, I think as a player, I think we all admire that type of a player, don't we? You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But having said that, I identify a bit more with Matthew. It's he needs to express himself to get on with the next shot.
Yeah. Do you think maybe that's let him down in England? You know, where
I
you're
think
not
it's
allowed
been
to do
harder
things
for
like
him.
this?
I think I mentioned that to you over a beer, where they're very strict about demeanour and attitude on the table. I think that's made it harder for Matt because he is used to expressing himself and letting it. I think it's a way that he gets rid of the emotions.
Mm.
Yes, yes, it's confirmed. I've just lost a beer, but the more important thing is, has Matthew lost the match?
A little bit straight on this red here. This is going to be one.
So what does he do here? Does he just sit for the cross loser or punch it up?
I think he's best just potting it and screwing back. Maybe it's about 6 inches. Or play the cannon. Oh,
Okay.
that was difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I misestimated. It wasn't 50, it was 67.
67. And how many do you think Matthew will get here?
Don't know yet.
I'll say 23.
He's got them in perfect shape, but it's very hard. It's very hard on this table at the moment. I know all his family will be watching.
Yeah. He's come a little bit short there.
So does he have to go in and out of balk with this?
I think he can play with a touch of left-hand side, a little bit of running side. And then he's played it well.
So push it down for a short drop cannon. So Peter, have you enjoyed your time in Melbourne?
It's been great. I always enjoy it here. Yeah, the playing conditions are fantastic. Obviously, I've got a lot of good friends out here now. You know, because I've been coming here, you know, the 7, 8 years, maybe it's more than that. Always seem to do okay here. I lost today to Matthew in the semis. Matthew played really well. He finished the game with a 150, perfect.
So that
perfect
was
game.
more than the 23 you're predicting now.
I'm going to predict more than 23 now.
Oh,
Oh, I don't know. He's played a loose one there.
Okay.
Yeah. How many is this? 22.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
by-
he's just he just played that a little bit too soft, hasn't he?
21.
Okay, I'll predict 100 now. He's done well to get them back in
It would
good
be fair
position.
to say
from
that you're fairly fickle then, would it?
Well, we're level on the beers now. There you go.
26.
No, you wisely didn't bet a beer. Was it a surprise to you that none of the Indians made the semi-finals? I mean, they've got some fantastic players there.
I was very fortunate against Saurav. I was 3-0 down in my game.
Yes, we spoke to him earlier.
Yeah,
He's still
it was-
recovering from that.
Yeah, he deserved to win. Really, he should have beat me 4-0. But you know, I got a little bit of run in the last few games, and it just helped.
31.
I was surprised that Rob beat Devaj Haria. To be honest, I thought Devaj was playing the best
Yes.
billiards of the tournament.
I agree.
And then, but Rob put away, and also Steve Mifsud beating Druv Sitwalla.
Mm.
And Druv got the highest break. He matched my 155, which I wasn't too pleased about. I think it takes a little bit of prize money off me.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing.
So you hold the world record for this short format with a 157
Yeah.
as a record break. You have to, and that depends on just, of course, the last shot.
That's right, yeah, you've got to get a 149, and then the maximum number of points you can get in one shot at billiards is 10, which is hitting the red ball first, potting the red, making the cannon, potting the opponent's ball, and also going in off. So to do that on 149 and making a perfect 159, it's nigh on impossible. But a number of years ago over in Ireland, I managed to make an 8 shot on a 149, so the world record is 157, which will take a little bit of beating.
That'll need 4 scores in the one shot, won't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
How many times have you had a 10 shot, Peter?
Once, I think. And you were saying you've had about 5 in your life, and to get one when you're on 149, I mean, it's very, very unlikely, isn't it? And very difficult to set up. We were talking about theoretical ways of setting up that 10 shot before, and you were pointing out the difficulties of how you even get to that position, where the shot's even available.
Trick question for you. What's the most points you can score in 2 visits to the table?
Now that's a
Two
good
consecutive visits to the table. What's the most you can score?
Okay, well, I guess it's probably 16.
16's a good guess. It's the wrong guess, but
Then it's not a good guess.
no, it's close. But no cigar. How do you get to 16, Peter?
Okay, yes. I've thought 10 shot to start with, and then because the other ball's off the table, then a 6 shot.
Yeah, but now you've thought again, haven't you? And you've
Now I've
thought
thought
right.
again.
Okay,
Don't
now
play
what
the
you going
10
to do?
shot first.
Right.
So if you don't pot, then it must be 18.
Yes.
So, yeah. So make an 8 shot first, and then make the 10 shot.
That's right. I'll be happy with that. Matthew is in prime position now.
Yes.
You've got to fancy Matthew for a 150 here, taking it down to the wire, 5-all.
Well, we've been surprised in the last few frames where they've broken down. What looked so secure earlier in the day is now looking difficult.
That was a poor shot.
So how do you recover this yellow to back behind the spot directly?
He's got in good position there. He's going to try and kick it back up. It's best here to try to kick the yellow back up to the line of the red spot.
67.
He just didn't get in behind it enough there. I think Matthew's Potton's helped him out as well this week. You know, playing. It's a good shot if because he's played the snooker in England. I think it's helped his billiards out, especially in this 150 up format. He's very good at the long game also. I remember playing him in.
Is that sitting the spot now?
Is it? I think it's just
Close
this side,
to,
isn't it?
maybe. Well,
I
no,
remember
after
playing
the shot,
Matthew,
yes, he's sitting the spot.
Right, yeah.
So it goes on the pyramid spot, and he's played it up so that he can come down with a drop cannon, a little bit of running side here, and this should regard the balls on the top cushion. Oh no, he wanted to be higher, so he stunned across.
77.
And he hasn't got higher.
Correction. Yeah.
I think he'll have to
Oddly
pop
enough,
the,
if he pots it again, it'll go on the centre spot, won't it?
yeah, is he playing for that? I think he is, isn't he?
Yep.
I was just saying there, Matthew, I remember playing in Leeds a number of years ago, and one of the tournaments, and I think his first visit against me was 600 and something. So not only is he good at this short format, but he can play the long game as well.
Yeah. Well, he's got the Australian record on this very table of 809. So yeah, he can rattle them in. It's still quite some ways from the world record in the long format. I'm not sure who holds that, but I think it's 1346, is it not?
Yeah, I was on a good day, that one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was you, was it? I see. I had no idea. You've had a couple of good days, it would be fair to say, where you've made 1,000 break, and there's only been 5 of them under the current rules, and you've got 2 of them. So there are 4 players in the world that have made 1,000 break.
And there's only 2 who are playing at the moment, actually, who are playing in tournaments who've made one. That's Mike Russell and myself. You know,
Right.
Mike Russell, who's won the World Championship, I think 20 times, is it? Something crazy like that.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, he made I played Mike in India in 2010. He made a 1,000. It was a 1,143, and then missed and left me nothing. I went for a can, and then he made a 800 next visit.
Really?
So yeah, it was
Two
like
hits.
2,000 points and 2 hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike's actually made a 2,000 break in
practice. Yeah.
And that's Bolton crossing as well.
Really? Yeah. So the other players are Geet Sefi
Yeah, and Michael Ferreira.
and Michael Ferreira. Geet retired perhaps 2 years ago, 3 years ago from competitive billiards.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, Geet was a great player.
I think Geet made most of his break at Postman's Knock, didn't he? 1250
Yeah, that's right, Peter, yeah.
something, 1251.
Yeah, something like that. I want to get 12, yeah.
Mm. Oh, that's just come a little nasty for Matthew, and he's not liking it as usual. You can tell what he's thinking. Oh, yes. That's right, Bolton crossing.
And how many is he on now? Is that? Oh, so he's got to cross it now, is it, Peter?
Does he have to cross the balk line now? I've lost track of it.
All right. Okay.
I don't know that he has.
I don't think he has. He's going to pot the white.
He's going to have to pot it.
Pot white.
Yep.
So he won't be running out of this visit, and that's a poor shot.
Well, it's possible he could run out of this visit, as you know. He's just got to score a lot of 6 shots.
Yes.
Yes. Discretion, the better part of valour there. So this is a critical shot coming up. If Rob can touch that red with the cannon, he's back in, and if not, he's letting Matthew back in. So he's taking a little more time than he usually does over this one.
This is a similar position to the one where he played in the, I think it was the quarterfinals against Davad Sharia, and he made a 118 break from it.
Really?
From Rob, yeah, from this kind of position.
Well, he set it as wide as he can. What's the risk of a double kiss here?
I think he's trying to pot his opponent's ball as well.
Oh, just missed it.
I think he was trying to leave Matthew's ball in the left-hand corner of the pocket. Now he's left Matthew a perfect enough red or a cannon.
Cannon. Oh, he's missed that. He's going thick on it. So, yes.
How do you think we can make the game of billiards more attractive to the general public, Peter?
Women playing it, Pete.
Yeah, the 50. Yeah, we tried the 50 up game, but that wasn't really successful.
Look, I think the reality is that it's not really a spectator sport. It's really a player sport.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to play. I think Clive Everton says it's a beautiful game to play, but it's impossible to watch almost because it's so complex. Chess on wheels.
Yeah, I actually want to go back to Middlesbrough, where obviously when I was born, we have local billiards leagues, and I'd rather watch the billiards players in the local clubs play rather than the likes of watching Mike Russell or one of the top players, because you don't really know what they're going to do, and it makes it more exciting to watch. Rob's played that really well. Yeah.
Well, it just needs to keep control of the table for another 71 points to be crowned the Australian Open champion for 2018.
He's had a good year, Rob. He's won most tournaments that he's gone in. He won the British Open in Cambridge, like that was in April time. And he's been to
did he beat you in the final of that?
He beat me in the final, yeah. He played really well. Made a few century breaks.
You got revenge a week ago in Singapore, beating him 6-4 in the final of the Asian Open.
Yeah, that's right. Rob won't need to cross the balk line here. I think he only needs 90 points. I think he came to the table with 60 odd.
Well, yes, we know I lost a bet on a drink for that, so yes, 67 I think he had first hit. So all he has to do is just keep them up this end and tickle them around a bit. That might be all right.
Yeah, he's okay there. There are 2 or 3 little cannons. Oh, he's played that
Oh.
poorly. He might have to play cushion first here.
He's looking at, yes, he's looking at cushion first. Just don't think the table's reacting the way either player's expecting. What are his options here, Pete? What's he thinking?
I think he's just got to go off the left-hand side cushion. I don't think he can miss it that way. It's playing it off the right-hand side cushion. I think it's missable. Off the left, I think this is missable. I think he should be playing it off the left-hand cushion.
But it's a better
Should
position
get it,
this
but
way, isn't it? Yeah.
it's a nice shot. Played it well, and it's turned out almost perfect. A little screw back off the white here. Nudge the red towards the corner pocket. He's back in business. Oh, he's played that well. I think the correct shot here is just the cannon. I don't think he can slip past the white. So if he jaws the red ball off the top cushion first, jaws it, make sure he doesn't pop the red, and he can't really go wrong. Played with quite a lot of left-hand side.
But if he pots the red,
He doesn't really want to be potting it. Yeah, he didn't want to pot that. He might be fortunate enough to have the in-off red cross loser.
Put it over the middle pocket and start again. He takes the lead, 105 to 104.
That was a very good shot. He had to get the red over to the left-hand side of the table so he could play the drop cannon and try to move the white, his opponent's ball, towards the red spot. Yeah.
He's done that. Missed the collision. Got a very long cue action on those pots, doesn't he? Drawing all the way back.
Yeah. He's a very straight cueist.
Yes.
Isn't he? Yeah, it really helps him out. I'm surprised he said he doesn't really play a lot of snooker and he doesn't rate his snooker, but I think he'd be a very good snooker player if he played.
Yes. Well, looking totally in control here. 29 points required for the championship.
What a great facility this is, have on their CueballTV to cover this billiards. You know, it's so good. You know, for I know that when I'm aware, you know, I tune into it, and it's not very often you can watch top class billiards, but having this facility is really good.
Yeah, he's a pro, Dan Lynch, that runs CueballTV, no doubt about it. He's he's got a multi-camera set up here, so we just switch that view so that we're now at the top, looking down the barrel with Rob. 5 shot there.
7.
Clever little shot there.
Yeah, he's just tickling her about, isn't he? Not an ideal position, but you don't really need to be if you only need another, what,
9
10 or
points.
15, 9 points
9
to the
points. That's it. This pot, another pot, and shake hands. Sigh of relief from Rob as he walked past the camera there.
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks, Peter. I enjoyed that.
Thank you, Pete. And thank you for gracing us with your commentary.
And
Cheers.
yeah, till next time.
Thanks.
The only reason why I knew that you wanted to, otherwise
First order of business, George. Here we go. We need to draw the raffle. On the table. Where's Sky? Sky, where are you? Sky. Sky. I need you to draw the winning raffle ticket, please. Thank you very much. Put your hand in and bring one up. Just one. Just one. Just one. That's it. Who do you get? Oh, Rex. Rex! Where are you, Rex Wayne? You went last night. Congratulations. Rex, here are your balls. Yes. Very good to hear. You go back in again for the other one. Okay, good. Thank you very much to everybody who's come along for the final of the Pacific International Billiards Snooker Festival and the 2018 Billiards. What we have is a situation here where we're going to present the prizes, but to do that, the first thing we need to do is make sure that all the quarterfinalists are here so that they can collect their money. George? Yes? Do you have any money for the quarterfinalists? I do. Okay. What name is on the envelope? Surat Kathari! Raja Subramanian! particular quarter-finalist also fluked a break of 155. And as a result, he shared the highest break prize with Peter Gilchrist. So therefore, there's an extra $100 in here for his half of the highest break prize. Drew Sitwell! Okay, we have some losing semi-finalists. George, the envelope, please. Also collecting $100 for half of the highest break and $1,000 as a losing semi-finalist, Peter Gilchrist. And the other semi-finalists, our own Steve Goodson. Thank you to everybody who's been part of this tournament. We've been extremely lucky to have the international visitors that we have. We've been extremely lucky to have the top players in the world come to Australia and play here at our venue. We're grateful to all the international visitors. The ones from New Zealand have been especially helpful to me in terms of refereeing and supporting the whole of the tournament, etc. And so for all the international visitors, I'm extremely grateful. One of our own, the defending champion, is the runner-up, Matthew Bolton.
Just like to congratulate Rob. When you play like that, you deserve to get beat. Play rubbish all day, to be honest. I was lucky that it was a bit worse than me to get there. I've taken nothing away from Robbie, he was starting from his best as well. So he battled harder than me, and we both missed 1,000 shots. But that's the way it goes sometimes. It was tough out there. I'd like to thank BBSA, Paul Cosgrove for all your work, ridiculously long hours every day. I'd like to thank all the referees, all the players that helped out refereeing. We're really lucky with these people that everyone helps out so much. I'd like to thank the referee Neil for doing the final. Always does an excellent job. And yeah, better pull my socks up for the Nationals.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I present to you the 2018 Pacific International Billiards Champion from England, Rob Hall.
Just a few words. First of all, congratulations to Matt. He's such a dogged player to try and beat, but he just does not wrestle like a terrier. I think you've got on top of him, and he just keeps coming back more and more. Every time I play him, I'll have the same situation. No wrestle. So, unlucky and good luck for the Nationals. Thanks to Paul. He's run a fantastic show. It's been Jason, he's done a lot for us since we've been here. Obviously not only in the organisation of Billiards Australia, but running us ponds about and being a fantastic service for the first few days. So thanks very much for that. Lastly, I'd like to try and get back next year, obviously, to defend the title and our winnings. And obviously, wish you all a very safe trip home.
Thank you very much to everybody. This has been a fantastic series of tournaments that we've had. We had a magnificent launch at Government House, to which our international visitors were a magnificent contributor. The snooker went very well. The billiards has been magnificent. Thank you to everybody who's been part of it. Thank you especially to the referees and officials toy. Without whom we couldn't do anything. And we'll look forward to the National heading off at 9:30 in the morning. Could I encourage everybody to get together and have a drink and enjoy yourselves tonight? Thank you very much. Well done.